Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode on the Sports Stories podcast. This is your host, Seiji McSwain, and for this episode, we're going to be talking about the 2002 Western Conference Finals. Now, I think this one's going to be a little bit of an interesting topic due to the speculation around it, the facts that I may present, well, not facts, but theories that I may present in this video are, kind of not too out there, but they're kind of interesting. And then also just the film of the game itself, is pretty interesting to see the missed calls, so it's kind of hard to back up if it is fixed or not. So can't wait to take a deep dive here into this game. Now, in 2002, the Western Conference Finals was a series between the number 3 LA Lakers and the number 1 Sacramento Kings. Now, obviously, history. The Lakers beat the Kings in 7 games behind Kobe and Shaq's combined 402 points, 139 rebounds, and 38 assists. Now, this was during the time where Kobe and Shaq were kind of having some beef due to leadership issues. Because they're such great players, they felt that, each other respectively should have had the leadership role. So this was more of a beef between them behind the scenes, but on the court they looked fantastic together. Obviously it's a legendary team here with Kobe and Shaq, so it was a great team. And then also the Sacramento Kings. Now this Sacramento Kings team had Mike Bibby, Chris Webber, Peja Stojakovic, who are 3 great players in Kings history, and this one kind of showed out here. Mike Bibby and Chris Webber definitely did their thing during the series. They kind of left it all out there, but they just couldn't get it done. Now, you may be asking, how is the series fixed? And that's what I'm here for and to explain. Now, first of all, just looking at the total stats of the series, it's a little suspicious from there. Now, going off of Basketball References stats, they have this thing called the 4 main factors of a game, and that's field goal percentage, turnover percentage, and free throw percentage. Overall, the Kings beat them. The Kings beat the Lakers out on 3 out of the 4 main factors. They beat the Lakers by 3% in field goal percentage, 0.1% in turnover percentage, which doesn't seem like a big margin, but trust me, in these type of games, in these type of situations, that is a really big margin, or not a really big margin, but it's really important because turnovers could lead to points and so on. So it kind of snowballs from there, and then also free throw percentage, winning by 0.1 or 1.1%, which again is pretty decent, but that's actually kind of funny that the Kings beat out the Lakers in the series with free throw percentage, because in Game 6, which is the game that we'll be mainly talking about in this video, the Lakers shot like 20 plus free throws in the 4th quarter alone. So that was pretty interesting when I saw that. And then also the Kings beat out the Lakers in average points per game, 99.6 to the Lakers 99.3. So not the biggest margin there as well. And that could just be because that the Kings scored more points than the Lakers for one game, so that kind of messes up the average, or not, it doesn't mess up the average, but kind of changes the average a little bit. So that could be why the Kings are shown to be able to beating the Lakers in points per game. Now, stats don't tell a full story though, and I believe that as well. Just looking at the stats, you can't really get, put in football terms. Tom Brady can throw for 500 yards, 2 touchdowns, and still lose a game. That's very possible. So stats don't really tell a full story, and here I'll be able to tell a full story for you guys. Now, the main speculation is during a crucial Game 6 here in the Western Conference Finals, where apparently 2 out of the 3 refs in the ref crew decided to help fix the game. And most of this information here that I'm going to be talking about is coming from Tim Donnie, I believe that's how you say his name. Donaghy. And now he's more of a disgraced referee for betting on games in the NBA, and he's kind of fixed some games. He wasn't a part of this regiment of refs, or not regiment, but team of refs. He wasn't officiating this game. It's just most of this information did come from him during his trial that he had for fixing other NBA games. He kind of just brought up this evidence to show that he wasn't the only referee betting on games and fixing games and whatnot. So most of this information is coming from that trial. Now a lot of people could say that it's not credible due to him not being the most credible person, which is true. That's what I was thinking at first. But also, I think it is crucial because why would he bring up this evidence? He could just be taking other people down with him and kind of trying to save his tracks. But I think he does bring up a good point, and it's just fun to play around with the theoretical situations of this game. So I just decided to throw what he said in here mainly during this video, because other than that, there's just the play calls that you can see on film yourself, which during this video I will put up. So if you are watching the visual version, you will be able to see some of the highlights from the game, and just some of the missed calls or blatant missed calls that the refs just missed. And if you're listening to the audio version, that's completely fine. I'll just describe some things that happened during the game. But I mean, overall, this information not the most credible, but I think it's just fun to entertain. Now the Kings were up in the series 3-2, so they just needed one more game to put it away, and they were up at half. On top of that, 56-51. So they just need to keep their lead, and they'd be heading over to the finals to face the Nets. I believe the Eastern Conference Finals wasn't over yet at this time, but if history stays the same, the Nets would beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals to move over to the NBA Finals, where they would face the Kings if the Kings were to advance. Now, again, down here in his trial, presented a letter that showed the judge that 2 out of the 3 refs wanted a Game 7 in the series. So obviously, that's pretty big terms on how a game could be fixed. They literally bet on a Game 7, so they're making money off of that. And on top of that, the Lakers were down 3-2, so I'm sure the odds were probably in their favor for a Game 7. And then also, another way it could be fixed is through the inside, and that could be through David Stern, RIP. But David Stern said that, in Mike Korzemba's video on this game itself, he brought up when David Stern said that the Lakers versus the Lakers could be the best their best NBA Finals for him. When he was asked, or when David Stern was asked, what is his dream finals matchup, so he said Lakers and Lakers. But also, if you think about it, around this time, the Lakers are probably one of the biggest markets for the NBA. Now, as an NBA commissioner, you're basically getting the money from the Lakers, and the Lakers are the best, or not the best team, but the most well-known team at this point in time. So you're getting a lot of money from the team. So why not? Why wouldn't you want the most profitable team in in one of the most profitable events that the NBA has, which is the NBA Finals? So it just kind of makes sense from a marketing standpoint. Why wouldn't you just have your best, most marketable team in the biggest event in the NBA? So it kind of just worked out for David Stern, but I'm not going to pull David Stern into this one. I've already talked about him in the Michael Jordan videos, so I'm not going to bring him into this one. But now, going out of halftime, the calls were they were coming in a little bit steady, slow and steady here for the Lakers. Not enough to show us a fix until not game 6, but quarter 4, the fourth quarter of the game. I don't know why I said it like that, but the fourth quarter of the game, that's when you started to see more of the calls. Now, at one point in the fourth quarter, Kobe elbowed Mike Bibby in the face. Wasn't a call. And Mike Bibby was bleeding on the sideline. His or on the bench. He's bleeding. He had a bloody nose. He still actually played in that game after he had a bloody nose, which is pretty crazy. I believe Shaq, it was a flagrant foul on Shaq, on one of the plays near the basket. I want to say on Peja Stojakovic, but I'm not sure if it was him or if Stojakovic was already fouled out at that point in time. So it was a flagrant on Shaq. They didn't call it. Another one with Peja Stojakovic, I do know. I believe Rick Fox fell on the floor, actually a missed call on the Kings. The refs didn't call. And then Peja Stojakovic was just trying to get the ball, make it a jump ball, and they actually called a foul on that. And all he was doing was just like tapping Rick Fox, like he was just tapping the ball. So I mean, he wasn't really doing anything that could warrant a foul, and they called a foul on that. And again, in the fourth quarter, the Lakers shot 21 free throws. So that's about a free throw every minute or so in the game. To the Kings only had 7 free throws in the entire quarter. So if you think about it like that, the Lakers were shooting a lot, and they were in bonus a lot off of some pretty bad calls. Chris Webber, there was a missed call on Chris Webber where he got hit on the arm, and they didn't call that. And it was in front of the refs. It was like a clear window for the refs to just see it. Didn't call it. And overall, it just was not, the calls were just being missed left and right. So in game 6, the Lakers did end up winning 106-102. And then they went on in game 7 to win 112-106. Now, one big argument that I do see, let me backtrack there. So the Lakers did win in game 7. They ended up going to the finals where they sweep the Nets in 4. Shaq wins finals MVP. Kobe gets another ring. Phil Jackson, I think, gets his third three-peat in his coaching career. So overall, Lakers just a winning team, kind of solidified them as a winning team. But one big argument that I did see for the Kings is, why didn't they just win in game 7? If they just needed one game, why didn't they just win that last game that they needed? Now, game 6, since it was fixed, in my opinion, it was fixed. That kind of ties it up 3-3. Now, in game 7, the stats look, completely fine. There's no really big abnormalities there. And also, just in the film that I've seen for the game, there wasn't really any missed calls. So I can't say that the game 7 was fixed. But if you think about it, in Western Conference Finals, in a series, there's not a lot of time in between each game of the series. You're kind of, it's like every other day. So, or you have a game every other day, basically, for the series. Now, if you think about it, nobody's going to be fully 100% only like 2 days after they just played a game. And in game 6, if it was really that fixed, I'm sure the Kings were pretty beaten down, bruised, and they kind of didn't. I'd say the morals, or not the morals, but the mood of the team. I'll say the morale of the team was pretty low. I'd say after that game, so that could have been why the events of game 6 could have affected their performance in game 7, and that's why they lost. But I'm not really here to make excuses for the Kings. Who knows if the game was actually fixed, or just Tim Donaghy was just trying to save himself, or if it was fixed and the Kings just really can't do anything about it, and possibly the Lakers didn't even know. So who knows around that. I'll leave it up to you guys in the comments. You can leave a comment down below, if you think the game was fixed, or if you have any other theories of your own. I'd love to see them down in the comments below. And while you're down there, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. That'd be greatly appreciated. And also sharing the video or episode to anybody that you think would like to know about the 2002 Western Conference Finals. And if you're on the audio version, please give the podcast a 5-star review. That'd be greatly appreciated. And as well as a follow. Again, that'd be also greatly appreciated. But that'll be it for today's episode. Thank you for listening all the way through, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.